Alright, look. I made a couple of videos about the carnivore diet. And in that process, you guys had a lot of comments where you were sharing your own stories, and that's great. This video is going to be about you guys and your experience. So I'm just gonna go on a computer and scroll through the comment sections and see what I find. And then we're gonna go through it. So let's go. Alright, so here we are. Comment section and coffee. And let's see what you guys have shared with everyone. Alright, so this is a good start. Gothop says it makes your hair fall out. I don't think that's the case though. Fiona Bell says it works. Good for you. And then we have Mr. or Mrs. M who says that he or she was part of this study. So that's cool. Actually a participant in the study, this is from the Harvard study video. So he was one of the 2029 participants. And I asked if there was anything he would add, if there were some questions that weren't asked, or points that weren't made in the study. And he says it's all good. So that's good. Thank you. Thanks for that, Am. Sebastian Rokes says that the next study should be about raw meat. There are so many of us who are eating raw for years and haven't had any problems. That's a good point. Maybe they should. And then we have Theodore, also proud to be one of the 2029 participants. We did have a couple of people who actually were part of the Harvard diet study, carnivore diet study, and they commented on that video. So that was kind of cool. And then we have GRTH. I had the same results, although with the vegan diet. It's very strange how both extreme drastically improves both markers and disease. I wouldn't throw out plants just because of this. And because of this, he's talking about the Harvard study. Yeah, no, I agree. Find what works for you. If carnivore works well for you, then stick with it. If it doesn't, don't. And if you thrive on a plant-based diet, good for you. You found something that works for you. But about the strange part about how everything drastically improves by going to the extreme, well, I think that's because you're cutting out everything processed. On either side, you're eating clean, just in a different way, I guess. And then we have Cheyenne Hunter. 2.5 years on the carnivore diet. Best decision I ever made. And to that I say, good for you. I'm glad you found something that works for you. Thanks for watching and commenting. And then we have Susan saying, our controllers do not want us on this diet. I get that that's a joke, but it's still kind of true. This diet isn't exactly politically correct. And anyone who controls the narrative is kind of not pushing something that's going against what is politically correct. But then again, that's besides the point. And then there's James saying, I was meat limited and semi-vegetarian, but I tried hard not to eat carbohydrates, because every time I ate them, I got a sick feeling. However, it was really hard. Okay, so I'm guessing it was really hard to stay off the carbohydrates. After eating carnivore, the carbohydrates just went away. So again, I'm guessing this is the cravings for carbohydrates just went away. It was a miracle. No cravings, no bloating, and after a short time, many of my aches and pains and skin tags and metabolic diseases went away and continued to improve every week. I started March 15, 2022, so not that long ago. But I think because I was already eating pretty good, I improved really fast. I cannot wait to see what this will be like in 90 days. Thanks for the study. No, I didn't make the study, I just read it for you. But yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for sharing your experience. Appreciate it. And then there is theory of personality. I've been on the carnivore diet for almost 2 months. My asthma has begun to get better. I can sleep now. My allergic pulmonary I don't know what that is, I'm sorry. Probably some allergic thing with asthma then. Anyways, my allergic, whatever that is causing less symptoms. My skin has gotten better. I haven't had a diabetic attack since I started. My IBD symptoms are gone. If I didn't know better, I'd think I'd never had it. I was weak, out of breath, and red all over. I literally thought I was going to die in my sleep. Now I feel amazing, and I have been doing yard work in the garden again. That's great. Good for you. And then we have Cheryl Carey saying, I have poor lung capacity, poor circulation, a lifetime of depression and insomnia, several autoimmune problems, a ridiculous immune system in general, and in other ways too, I guess. But many of my symptoms seem to be mending, some of them very slowly, some of them very quickly, and everything in between. And then she goes into what she supplements with and stuff like that. But it does seem like the carnivore diet is helping her with her symptoms, immune system issues. Well, it's good for you. And then we have Ben. I've been on a low-carb, animal-based diet for many years now. I'm carnivore-ish these days, and I have done periods of strict carnivore. When I started such diets, I was on the paleo diet, and back then I was eating loads of low-carb and nutrient-dense plant foods, although there was particularly emphasis on nose-to-tail animal foods, fatty cuts, organ meats, bone broth, etc. I ate more healthy veggies on the paleo than I ever did as a vegetarian. But over time I've eaten fewer plant foods and have come to realize some of my lingering health issues seem to be plant related. The challenge is none of my family is carnivore, and so I occasionally eat some veggies, if rarely any fruit. I'm about to try strict carnivore again for a period, and this time do it with no organ meats. There has been a debate about organ meats lately, and so I want to see how I do without them. Well, good luck with that. I did not include any organ meats when I was on a carnivore diet, but I did supplement with a couple of things just to help out with that. It's good to see that it's working for you, I guess. Thanks for sharing. Jack June is sharing and says, my wife had been on carnivore for a while, so I decided to try it. And the hardest part for me was the first few weeks. My wife had been on the carnivore diet a while, so I decided to try it. The hardest part for me the first few weeks was getting over the programming and lies we are taught all our lives about how to eat. Once I believed that they were lies, it's been easy sailing. I have no more cravings for sweets and cookies, and when I pass by a counter I just look forward and to the way of this way of eating. I eat all I want of meat and cheese and eggs. Very satisfying. It's now 10:30 p.m. and I'm looking forward to my daily ham and 3 or 4 eggs every morning to start my day. Good for you, Jack. I'm happy you found something you enjoy. Thank you for sharing. The Kingdom Way. I love carnivore. Reduced inflammation, blood pressure and blood sugar. Plus, my memory has improved. More energy, and I have started swimming and bicycle riding. That works for me. But I won't judge anyone who reads this for whatever or why they are... I can't read. That works for me, but I won't judge anyone who reads this for whatever or why they eat the way they do. Let's all discover our own way to health. We are all beautiful and wonderfully made. Yes, I agree. We are all beautiful. Anyways, yeah, no, I agree. Find your own way. Not everything works for everyone, so yeah. I'm glad it's working for you. Thank you for sharing. Alright, so then there is Kathy. My husband and I have been on the carnivore diet for about 4 years. Love it. I feel awesome and my arthritis was all but gone about after a week in. Lost weight in a really cool way. My curves came back quickly and strength through the roof. Husband loves it too. Many health issues are gone now. He's 71, I'm 67. We swear by carnivore. I commented on this saying that it must be awesome having someone to share the carnivore journey with. In my household I was the only one who ate carnivore, and that kind of made it harder. If there were more of us it probably would have been easier. And in their case, both of them, I'm guessing they're only those two people living together, so both of them being on carnivore sure would make it a lot easier to deal with. Thank you, Kathy, for sharing. Alright, and then we have KR. Pain is not only a great motivator to go carnivore, it's also a great motivator to stay carnivore. I am ketovore, I still do a few low carbs things occasionally, but 90% of my diet is carnivore. I will say that the closer I stay to 100% carnivore, the better I feel. I do not even worry about blood sugar. And it's helping me deal with my daily arthritis. So that's a thing, apparently. He's not the first person to comment about his arthritis getting better, by staying carnivore. So that's good. Good for you. And then response to that, we have Midwest Ribeye saying, before being Carnivore for 3 years, I was living off pain meds and could barely walk around a block. Within 2 weeks of being in ketosis, I didn't need any pain meds and could walk 2 miles. Pain is definitely my motivator to stay eating whole foods Carnivore. Plus, I'm no longer pre-diabetic. My cholesterol and blood pressure is now fantastic, per my doctor. And I'm 50 pounds down. I also have more muscle as I can do the things I enjoy again, like swimming, biking and hiking. I hope you continue to feel as amazing as I do. Enjoy your life and may God bless you. Well, thanks for that, Midwest. I'm glad it's working for you. Thanks for sharing. And then we have George. I was part of the study as well. It was my first and only study I ever participated in. But it seemed very thorough. I've been on the diet for 4.5 years now. Welcome to the carnivore community. Hope you are seeing improvements. Thanks, George. 4.5 years. Well, does seem like it's working for him, I guess. Glad you're enjoying it. Mr. Gukcharison. I'm sorry. Mr. saying he's been on carnivore for a week. Already seeing changes in my belly fat. Joint swelling is almost gone. Amazing. Good for you. Thanks for sharing. Alright, so these are responses to my video called How You Feel After 4 Weeks of Carnivore. First, let's look at what Slane has to say. Now, I mentioned in that video that my workouts felt kind of meh compared to when I was off because my energy wasn't the same. And he says, your workouts would suffer for probably a couple of months for your body to better learn to utilize ketone. Your body isn't used to it. And then he says some sources. He stated that as he works out, he gets more energy, not depleted energy. 8 kilo is about 17.5 pounds. That's amazing weight loss for 1 month. Oh, that's my weight loss. Shame you aren't sticking to it. I honestly think it's a superior and optimum diet myself, and I came into it healthy. Good for you. Now, I'm not saying I won't be carnivore again. I'm just saying right now I won't be. But I do eat a lot more eggs and meat than I did before I was on it. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Oro Wizard has shared a point here that I think is worth sharing. A kilo is approximately 2.2 pounds. That's facts. The doctors I have been following on carnivore diet says 70 to 75% or more fat, 15% protein, balance of carbs, as close to zero as possible. I have been failing on my carnivore diet. I make it a week at a time, but I'm getting more dizzy or vertigo as the week goes on. When I eat some broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, veggies, it fixes me right up. I have to figure out why. I do love eating all the meat and eggs I want. I kind of wanted to point out a thing that 70% fat doesn't mean that if you have 1 kilo of meat, it's supposed to be 700 to 750 grams of fat. That's not it. They're talking about calories. Fat has about 9 calories per 1 gram. So if you're eating a 1 kilo ribeye steak, that's 2,900 calories. Look, I've done the math. It's right here. So 70% of those calories is 2,030 calories from fat. And 2,030 calories is 225 grams of fat on 1 kilo of meat. So that's a big difference. 225 instead of 700 to 750 grams. So you need to know that they're talking about calories, not weight. So then I used ribeye as an example. Ribeye steak is about 22% fat, according to the internet. 22% of 1 kilo is 220 grams. So that means in a kilogram of ribeye steak, there is approximately 220 grams of fat, which is 5 less than 70%. So if my math is right, on your carnivore diet, if you eat a steak, you're as close as you can get to the perfect fat ratio without adding any fat to it. So I'm not sure how you guys have been calculating this when you're trying to get 70% fat, but it's not as hard as you think it is because it's 70% of your calories from fat. I just wanted to point that out because I've seen other people talking about this too. Thanks for sharing, Wizard. Appreciate it. And then we have theory of personality again. The first month, the body transitioned from burning glucose, sugars and carbs, which become sugar in the body. Yeah, that's true. Burning glucose as fuel to burning fat as fuel. Okay, so he's talking about the transition. So the first 30 days are the hardest. Once the body is burning fat for fuel, you should have much more energy. I probably noticed such a difference because I was so sick, like near death sick. Yeah, he mentioned that before. And he's talking about my journey and my first 30 days here. So James says to me, thank you for trying it out. I've been carnivore for quite a while. So I asked how it's been for him. And he says, I've been on a lot of diets and I started the journey because of my mental health. I'm an overeater and I seem to be sensitive to a lot of things. And then he says, for me, it's nearly impossible to moderate my diet. Carnivore cured my craving. Cured. It really blew my mind. So at this point, he's been on the carnivore diet for 3 years. It's been hard to see myself doing anything else moving forward. Thanks for sharing. Marcelo shares, 2 months into it, less anxiety and less psoriasis. However, I think it's too early to see significant improvements in my arthritis. So he's mentioning arthritis as well. To you, I say other people have seen improvements. So if you stick with it, it might get better. Fingers crossed. I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for sharing. Shannon says, talk to your doctor, make sure you're healthy. For me, being unhealthy was the reason to go carnivore. Oh, right, so she's quoting me. Yeah, that was, I have to say that, don't I? If I don't say that, I could be at fault for giving you ideas for what to do, and I'm not gonna carry that burden. But anyway, I had tried everything else, and doctors were no help. I had even been keto for 7 months, but it only helped to a degree. And no doctor in my area would say okay to the carnivore diet, so I just did it. Thank goodness I did, because it changed my life. It saved it, really. Now, I don't know how it saved your life, but I'm glad you found something that works for you. Thank you for sharing. Chris says, I felt much like you have felt my first month. I feel like you described my experience perfectly. I never went back to incorporate anything back in. I like the way I feel too much to go back. Yeah, I can appreciate that. If it weren't for my family life, I probably would have stuck with it as well. Family life, work life, social life, Thanks for sharing. And then we have Mike saying, I became full carnivore 2 years ago and I have never felt better. I made an amazing discovery at that time after about 3 to 4 months. The last 5% or so of eliminating carbs from my diet completely gave me what I believe to be 95% more results in a miraculous way. In that 3 to 4 month period, I became even more laser focused and I feel like I run on high energy level constantly. Zero fatigue, zero soreness. Able to work out without tiring. Almost zero hunger. It's life changing. I think getting here slow was key. Most will try this way of eating and let any obstacle, those annoying little things we notice when we take our attention off our goals, stop and reverse their journey. Yeah, no, you have a point. I get that. Great results come mainly from effort that is at first uncomfortable or difficult, and the results can be amazing if you don't give up. And then he suggests reading a book. Thanks for your efforts and congratulations on your success. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing. It's always fun to see people succeed. Then we have Emily saying, feeling satisfied is an underrated benefit. By finally committing 100% to carnivore as opposed to a very meat-heavy keto, I finally was able to feel satisfied. Possibly my brain finally clearly receiving leptin signals. It was like the monkey climbed off my back. I finally felt a sense of control over my food and a sense of peace and relaxation. I'm glad to hear it, Emily. Good for you. Thanks for sharing. And the last video we're going to go through the comment section is my video called Should You Quit Carnivore? My experience. And in this video I was sharing what it was like for me to get off carnivore and ups and downs with that. Here's a good one. Azar is saying, why can't one's friends and family just be happy for you that your physical and mental health improves so much on the carnivore diet? They bend over backwards to accommodate vegans, vegetarians and those with food allergies. It seems we go back to plants just to please them. This is a point I made in this video, that the social aspect, family aspect and work aspect of the carnivore diet was a challenge for me because I always had to bring my own food or whatever. When I was challenged over this way of eating, I used my age. Everyone knows we don't process nutrients so well when we get older. We also know that animal nutrients are more nutrient dense and bioavailable than plant nutrients. The logical conclusion is to have only the most nutrient dense and available food on your plate when you're old. Plants therefore don't punch their weight, especially for older folks. I have nothing against eating plants, and then he says in parentheses, my only lie. I do, but saying so would divert the explanation. Alright. I have nothing against eating plants, but I would need huge quantities to get the same bioavailable nutrients I can easily get from relatively small amounts of animal source food. Everyone seems happy with that explanation as it doesn't threaten their pasta and puddings. And now they call me the meat man. As retirees, we lunch with friends and family a lot. Since the above explanation, there is always plenty of meat for me at the table. Good for you. Thank you for sharing. And as I said, yeah, I can relate. One of the harder things about being on Carnivore is that you're the only one most of the time. And you have to explain yourself, bring your own food often, and yeah, it's not easy. And then we have Bert saying he's trying different keto things. And he almost has a 4-pack now. Good for you. It's like you said, everything is easier when you are in good shape. Yeah, that's true. Being in good shape helps. Alright, and then we have James again saying, I guess to round out the story a bit more, the downsides for me are that it's decently expensive if you want to go the grass-fed and finished route, which leads to the best results in my experience. Yeah, it's expensive here as well. Also, the social stuff was a bit difficult in the beginning, but after I'd already been on veganism, keto, paleo and the blood type diet, I was pretty used to prepping my own food. Yeah, I can imagine. I find that most people are interested in the diet, at least so. Even if they find it strange, it can be fascinating. Yeah, I can see that. Additionally, I feel a tremendous amount of energy all day long on the diet. Incredibly satisfied after eating, increased mood, increased libido, and no problems at all with healing after workouts. Although, admittedly, I don't really work out that often at all. Well, you can change that if you want to. Increased restfulness after sleeping, no bloatedness like I used to have, and my meals are incredibly easy to prepare as they usually just consist of 1 or 2 things. Yeah, that's true. That's one of the good things about being on the carnivore diet. Your meals are just preparing meat most of the time. And then he goes on to say, I don't care much for variety, but when I do find that these foods help with it. Alright, but when I do, I find that these foods help with that. And then he lists a whole lot of things to help with variety. That's basically because I said it got kind of one-sided. It was very little variation for me. And I guess that's why he's sharing his experience with helping with that. Thanks for that. Anyways, I hope that my experience can be useful. Yeah, it did. Thanks, James. Thank you for sharing. That was great. And that's that. Thank you for watching, and thank you guys for sharing. It's been really interesting reading through the comments and seeing how other people have experienced the carnivore diet. I know it's different for everyone, but there are a lot of similarities. And the strange part is there are very few people who have reported having bad experiences after they've tried it for a while. Anyways, I'm gonna end it there. Thank you for watching. Stay curious.